Good evening. I'd like to, do I call to order and then do the, okay, so the city of Campbell is no longer requiring face coverings to be worn inside city facilities. However, all are welcome to wear face coverings should that make them feel more comfortable. Should health directives from the County of Santa Clara or the Centers for Disease Control change, the city will comply. So I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Civic Improvement Commission, Thursday, March 9th at 7:32.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Coluccio,
Here.
Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Malcolm, here, Commissioner Dooley, Vice Chair Naylor, here, and Chair Yoshikawa, here. Thank you.
Okay. This regular Civic Improvement Commission meeting is conducted in person and via telecommunications and is compliant with provisions of the Brown Act. A video recording of this meeting will be available on the city YouTube channel following the meeting. And you already did the roll call. Move to announcements. Are there any announcements? Great. Okay, so we'll go on to the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second to approve the minutes. Okay, I'll do roll call. Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Coluccio,
Aye.
Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Malcolm,
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley, Vice Chair Naylor, and Chair Yoshikawa.
Aye. Meeting minutes are approved. Oh, well, also, we also need to approve the study session, sorry, the study session meeting from February 9th. Do I have a motion to approve the study session meeting minutes?
I motion to approve the study session minutes.
I second.
Thank you.
We'll call Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Coluccio,
Yes.
Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Malcolm,
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley, Vice Chair Naylor,
Aye.
and Chair Yoshikawa.
Aye. Okay. Move on to communications. Are there any communications? No? Great. Flying by. Okay, oral requests. Are there any oral requests? All right. Reports from representatives. There are no reports from representatives. Okay, and we'll move on to reports from staff. Is Carrie? Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. We can just. Oh, yeah, I see. Oh, there we go. We'll just take a moment to review this since Carrie's not here. Looks like they've had all of their field trips resuming and good turnout with the volunteers, et cetera. Okay, does anyone need more time for review? Want to give another 10 seconds or so? Does anyone on the commission have any questions for Carrie or the museum? We can get Diana could reach out to her if anyone has any questions. Okay. Great. I think. Okay, Angelique, do you want to give the city update?
Sure, thank you. Just a couple of items to share. March is Women's History Month. This is a time to honor the women who have made important sacrifices and contributions to society. The 2023 theme is Celebrating Women Who Tell Stories, which recognizes women past and present who have been active in all forms of media and storytelling, including print, radio, TV, stage, blogs, podcasts, news, and social media. Though the list is long, some popular historical figures who are recognized during the month of March include Maya Angelou, Maxine Hong Kingston, Hovita Idar, Toni Morrison, Gloria Steinman, and Betty Soskin. The Campbell Police Foundation is hosting a fundraising breakfast on Saturday, March 25th from 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the Home Church on Winchester Boulevard in Campbell. Tickets are $25 per person and can be purchased at campbellpolicefoundation.org. The Campbell Summer Recreation Activity Guide is available online. Registration for preschool for summer and fall begins at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, March 14th and March 15th. Campbell Recreation Scholarship Fund. Please help support the Recreation Scholarship Fund, allowing Campbell youth to participate in recreation. And finally, the Campbell Heritage Theater has an amazing lineup with the a cappella sensation Voctive on Friday, March 24th, and Ladies Night with Taylor Dane and Sheena Easton on Thursday, April 27th. For additional information about any of these events and other Campbell Community Center activities, please visit campbellca.gov. And I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Angelique.
You're welcome.
Does the commission have any questions on the city update? Okay, great. We will continue moving on. New business. So we have the public hearing for the social services subgrants. And so I'd like to now open the meeting. Everyone sees their application or the summaries in your packet of each of the agencies. So I will now open the public meeting for discussion. Diana, please announce each agency for their presentation, or is it Angelique?
Diana is going to announce the agencies, but I just wanted to give a quick overview. So there is a staff report that was included in the packet.
Oh,
It's at the very end, and you'll note that most of it includes the same information from when Tina did her presentation on February 9th during the study session. However, we did add in the questions that the commission asked of different groups from last time, and we were able to get responses that are memorialized there in the staff report. So this meeting is an opportunity for you to look at the responses if you haven't already, and ask any additional questions you may have of the various applicants. Some of our applicants are also present this evening in person, and some will be participating virtually to give brief presentations. And with that, I will turn it over to Diana to walk us through those groups. Thank you.
So I also wanted to add with that, attached to the memo was a matrix which showed for fiscal year 21-22 and fiscal year 22-23, the Campbell clients that were proposed and served. Do you all see that?
Yes.
And so what we've done is, in the past, we used to require 2 months, two reportings a year, but now we just do it once, and it's at the end of the fiscal year. So they've submitted their report through 21-22. So as you can see, for each of the agencies that received grant funding, you'll see what the proposed clients served was for 21-22 and what the actual clients served was for that period. And if you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to ask those questions, following the agency's presentations if you'd like. We don't have the report for this last year because that's not going to be due until June. And we can certainly provide that to the commission before, once that's received.
And the the commission will award, or we make the recommendation to council next month.
So next month, we'll have another meeting, and it will also be a public hearing or meeting where you will make your recommendations for grant funding, and then it will be move forward to council
Okay.
for the next meeting. That'll be
And
determined.
So we won't get the end of year closing statement prior to our next meeting and the council, correct?
Correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
With that, we have, I think, all of the agencies present. What I'd like to do is invite Teresa Johnson from the Health Trust up to the mic. Teresa, when you come up to the podium, please be sure to press the button there that turns on the mic. I think there's a button.
Hi.
Perfect.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Good evening, members of the commission and staff. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Teresa Johnson, and I'm the director of the Meals on Wheels program for the Health Trust. We'd like to thank you for your past support. The goal of the Meals on Wheels program is to provide food for seniors who are homebound and at nutrition risk, and to help our clients stay independent in their homes. Since the beginning of the COVID pandemic in 2020, we have more than tripled the number of clients and meals that we provide. We're currently serving about 7,000 meals a week, and we anticipate serving about 300,000 meals this year. We did expect the demand to decrease as vaccinations and the pandemic waned, but that didn't really happen. What we found was that most of these clients who signed up during COVID were homebound seniors with very low income and little access to food. Because of the great publicity during that time period, they were able to find us in much larger numbers than they had before. So we still are serving about 90% of those clients. Last year, we lost over $1.5 million in COVID funding. This this current fiscal year, we lost about 1.5 million in COVID funding. Next fiscal year, we expect another $1 million in funding to not be available for us. Your support will help us continue to serve Campbell residents and Campbell seniors in need of home delivered meals. In the fiscal year 22, we served 28 Campbell seniors and provided just over 7,000 meals, home delivered meals. That cost for the Health Trust was approximately $77,000. You assisted us with those costs to provide meals for approximately 10 of those clients with your grant of $13,500. We are requesting $24,000 this year to partially fund home delivered meals for approximately 15 of the expected 30 or more clients we will serve in Campbell next year. We are asking for funds for the vendor cost for those meals only. We are not asking for staffing or administrative costs. The seniors who we will be serving are isolated, they're homebound, they're low income, and they're nutritionally at risk. Seniors who are not easily able to access other foods such as congregate meal sites, food banks, and things like that, or even grocery stores. Your contribution is critical for us because we leverage your contributions and funding to raise other needed dollars through donations and grants. The Health Trust fundraises extensively year-round to help support our Meals on Wheels program. Our projected budget for next year, we're looking at about a $2.1 million deficit, but we will continue to work on that so that we continue the level of service that we provide seniors. We do provide more than a meal. In addition to hot and frozen meal service, we provide wellness checks on our clients. If they don't answer the door, we follow up with them. We follow up with their emergency contacts. Since many of our clients live alone, our drivers might be the only people that they see during the week. For most of our frail and elderly clients that live alone, we also offer a free Friends for Meals on Wheels program where we provide weekly phone calls or visits depending on their their needs. They can participate in group televisit calls with other seniors. And we also work with San Jose State Bachelor of Social Work interns who visit the clients, do health reassessments, and provide resources where needed. Our program is listed in telephone assistance on various social media sites, search engines, and we have an online application that's available on our website. We do have staff and volunteers who speak English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. And we regularly contact our senior low-income housing sites to provide flyers or make presentations in order to outreach to people not only in Campbell, but in other cities in our community. We can also use a translation service for up to 180 languages. We now offer 3 menus, kind of a mixed American style and Asian fusion menu, as well as vegetarian. Our clients receive a handmade lap blanket made by volunteers and a card on their birthday. And our low-income clients living alone will receive a holiday gift, might have things like activity books, scarves, socks, hats, hygiene kits, etc. Our food is made by 3 local vendors. It's made fresh and delivered to us. We had to change our distribution model due to COVID and the high number of clients we need to serve. So for most clients, they get a week or 2 meals a day, 7 to 14 meals a week, and they're delivered frozen. If they don't have a microwave, we'll provide that for them. For our most frail clients, we can offer a 5-day-a-week hot meal delivery, and we still do that for a small number of clients. I'd like to end with a quick story about Cassie. She's 96 years old. She lives alone in Campbell. She's extremely low income. She lives on about $1,400 a month. She started with Meals on Wheels during the pandemic. She heard about it on the news. She was so excited about it. She said she was grateful to have the meals delivered to her home as she does not drive and she has difficulty getting out of the house. I love the meals. They are so tasty and good, she told our staff when calling in to make changes to her schedule. She has no close relatives, but her social worker does stay in contact with us and let us know if she's in the hospital or in need of any services. We recently offered her 2 meals a day, and this is what she said. I just received your letter offering me 2 meals a day. Yes, I would like to receive this offering. It is such a blessing. I don't drive, so getting to the food banks is very difficult. On her birthday, she received a card and a handmade blanket donated by a volunteer sewing group, and she mailed us a thank you card saying, thank you very much for the beautiful quilt and birthday card. It was really a treat. The Health Trust is very grateful for your support and for your partnership. There are so many seniors without enough money or food in our community, and our mission is to provide healthy, quality, nutritious food to our most vulnerable residents. Thank you. Do I wait for questions or?
Anybody have questions for the Health Trust? Nope. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, now I'd like to invite Ann Peterson from Live Oak Adult Services or Day Services.
Good evening, Commissioners. Live Oak Adult Day Services is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, so we're pretty excited about that. Live Oak has been serving Campbell clients for quite a few years, and you guys have been very gracious and generous to grant us funds each year. We don't serve a lot of Campbell clients. We usually have we usually state that we'll serve 5 to 7 clients per year, which doesn't sound like very much, but the amount of services that we provide are pretty extensive. So our program runs Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. We have a center in Willow Glen and a center up in Los Gatos and the center in Cupertino that all serve Campbell clients. Folks come in, they get breakfast, they do current events, they do arts, music, they have a lunch. All the clients that come to us, for the most part, are low to extremely low income, according to HUD guidelines. Live Oak is the one adult daycare that provides services to those in the lowest economic levels. We use funds such as yours and other municipal funds, foundations, things like that to offset the costs so that we provide the costs on a sliding scale for each family, depending on what they can pay. So the clients that come in have a wide variety of diagnoses. All of them have mild to moderate dementia. Their families are trying to keep them home for as long as possible. They, will have folks who have Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. They'll have had strokes, other kinds of dementia, depression, different things like that. So the families, our mission is to provide a valuable program to those with mild to moderate dementia, but our secondary goal is to provide respite for the families. So these are families that aren't sending their loved ones off to assisted living or memory care. It's pretty expensive. So if they were to pay our whole fee, it would be about $3,000 a month. Assisted living is usually like $10,000 a month. So it's a huge benefit. And then we try to offset the costs for everybody. Although it's not a large number of Campbell residents, let me just tell you sort of some stories about how Campbell residents come to us. So before COVID, I was working in the Cupertino Center, and there was a woman there, 92 years old, whose daughter worked at De Anza College. She was in admin over there. And every day she would drop her mother off to us. Her mother, they were Vietnamese. The mother didn't speak very much English, but she had the biggest smile of anybody there and loved everything we did for her. So she stayed with us every day, up until COVID. And when COVID came, we were shut down for 1.5 years. We tried to bring her back, but she had become so frail that she couldn't manage coming back. So that's kind of a trajectory that was common for some folks. We had another gentleman in Cupertino. His wife had died in India, and so the family brought him over because the kids were all here. He coming and listening to music and bowling and throwing beanbags was not in his wheelhouse, that's for sure. And so it was a difficult transition for him. He liked even the food, and all the cultural things were difficult, but over time he began to love it. And actually he came to us after COVID. So we had him for the whole last year. Currently before COVID, we had 2 folks from Campbell at our Willow Glen Center. One of them was always impeccably dressed, and her daughter would drop her off before her daughter would go to work, kind of thing. We currently have somebody from Campbell, and it's a little bit of a more difficult story, actually. It's a husband and wife, and she has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. She's coming to our Willow Glen Center twice a week, and they say they can't afford more although financially it looks like they should, but they don't want to pay more. And we're like, okay, we need her in the center more days. So we're going to cut back on their rate and bring her in 4 days a week. And the reason that we're worried about her is because they seem to have a little bit of a contentious relationship, and and the husband has very few inner resources to handling somebody who's deteriorating. And when she comes to us, she's thrilled. She gets to dance, she gets to eat, she gets to talk, she socializes with other folks. It's really, really important for a family such as that to have a place like Live Oak. And we want to just make sure that they continue to do well at home and as well as can be. And I'm sure, again, the situation is very tough for him to actually put her in placement somewhere. So Live Oak has when we do our evaluations and things, we always come up with, we keep, it's every year, it's pretty much similar. 85% of our families are able to keep their loved ones at home. So that's really, really important. And then when we do the annual survey, the caregivers will always report that their life has improved. 80% of the caregivers will always say that it's a huge improvement for them. So although our numbers aren't large, I want you to understand it's a lot of time that we spend with them, and it makes a huge difference in the lives of each of those individuals and their families. Thank you.
Any questions? I don't think, no questions. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite Kosaria Henderson from Next Door Solutions to Domestic Violence up to the podium, please.
Thank you. Again, my name is Kosaria Henderson. I'm the Executive Director at Next Door Solutions Domestic Violence. I just also want to thank my colleagues here that are in from all of their CBOs that do this amazing work and have done it for many, many years, I'm sure, and give to this community over and over again. So Next for Solutions Domestic Violence, we're celebrating this year will be our 52nd year. We are the oldest and only single domestic violence standing organization that serves this county. We are the first domestic violence shelter program that's bilingual in the country, and are the second shelter program in the state. So altogether for domestic violence. And I just wanted to come and share and of course say thank you for your continuous support year after year. As you will see in the report, our numbers grow and grow from Campbell. And a lot of that has to do with our services and outreach and our ability to have staff doing outreach and being in other places throughout the county. Our organization and what we're asking for today is really a segment of what the work that we do, like many of the other providers. So we're asking for our crisis and community support, which is really when someone comes to our organization, and they come by many different ways, through sometimes law enforcement, but also many times through our hotline, which we serve. The county sees about 21,000 domestic violence calls to CBO DV hotlines. We serve about 15 to 17,000 of those. That's how large we are as an organization comparatively. And we, when someone comes to us, we want to make sure that they have an advocate in person, and now through COVID, we've learned to be able to do it online, like many other organizations that did not have the resources to do that beforehand. But we are able to be with them throughout the entire process. A lot of safety planning, as you can imagine, in domestic violence, a lot of legal assistance work. We do a lot of getting them access to additional services, be it some of our providing agencies here that have food services and ongoing, health and wellness services. In addition, though, we're also asking for services through our support groups. We see a lot of Campbell residents come through our support groups, which we offer in any given week from 12 to 16 support groups a week. And everything from an LGBTQ+ group to a youth group. And they're offered both in person and online. We even have a quilting group that we see because there are a lot of ways that people come to healing and support. And we know it's not all through traditional talk therapy, which is actually even separate, a separate service we provide. In addition, when someone comes to us, we're able to help them, guide them through an immigration process, help them find culturally responsive services that are specific to their family, help them figure out what the next steps of hope and support and in their journey. And some of our families stay together, some of our families don't, right? And whatever their journey that they choose, we're with them along the way. So as you can see, our numbers have risen. I think we're upping our ask this year to the numbers that you've been seeing. So over 60 now we're asking, and we're asking only for $4,000. We understand that resources are limited. We actually, it costs, just for what we've asked for, it costs about $54,000 to serve those 60 individuals. And we are seeing an increase in that, particularly with our additional access and additional outreach. We also do receive the police reports from Campbell PD for domestic violence as an organization. I would just like, outside of any questions you might have, I just wanted to tell you about a resident that, Campbell resident that we're working with now. She came to us initially in January. She has 4 children. She was physically abused and psychologically abused by her partner and her ex-partner now, and came to us and needed support. And she came in, we were able to provide her with crisis and community support services, which again includes safety planning, risk assessment work, lethality assessment work, and as well as a restraining order services, which was something that she wanted. So we were able to provide with the restraining order services and actually get her connected to immigration support. And she continued to be with us through our case management services, which you've also seen in our proposal. And our self-sufficiency case management services are built just for that. We really want folks that she was going from a 2-income household to all on her own with 4 children. And we wanted to make sure that she had everything she needed. And so she continues to have a self-sufficiency case manager that works with her. She now is employed. But I will say that even outside of the assistance that is given through the city of Campbell, we were able to provide her with over $13,000 in client assistance to help pay for back rent, to get her credit where it needed to be from her partner's abuse that occurred, and to help her get established. And now she is completely self-sufficient and has been for the last few months. Still comes to support groups. And her teens still receive services as well. And those are the best outcomes that we can ask for. So we really appreciate the support that your city gives and that you all lend so that we can continuously serve residents in the city. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So, excuse me, based on what I see, you had proposed for clients was 40 for the previous year, and it was 65. And I'm going to assume maybe that's not the right word, but COVID had a lot maybe to do with some of that, with some of the issues and such. And I wouldn't expect it to go down. I see the proposed is 40 again. Do you think it'll drop down, or do you? I would
No, I
envision
don't.
it
So
being the same, if not more, because I believe as we see the economy struggle, to me, that's a trigger.
yeah.
Would you agree?
I absolutely. I also, again, attribute, we have been able to increase our outreach. And for the first time, I worked at the organization many years ago as director of programs and came back as executive director because it's such an amazing organization later. And this is the first time we've been able to have a full volunteer and outreach coordinator as an organization. And so we've been utilizing our volunteers and utilizing our outreach even more as well, because we want to get the word out. And also now, because we do have the virtual access that we are now well versed in, we see a huge increase in our support group numbers. That's also why our support groups keep continuing to grow. We see a huge increase in our legal services need. And I think we just thought that that this is a competitive process, and we wanted you to know. And so we do report, obviously, however many, all of the clients that we do serve and see, but we just know that that everyone's strapped And so, yes, I see the number continuously increasing if the answer. And actually, even if I look at our police reports that come in, we know that number is continuously increasing. So I definitely see that it will continue to go up. And honestly, I hope it does, because what we know is that, so few of domestic violence is actually reported to anyone, not just to law enforcement, but also to organizations. And the numbers for women are 1 in 4, and the numbers for men are 1 in 7, but the numbers for our teens are 1 in 3.
I mean, it's a very worthy cause, and it was more of a, I'd like to see that number, the number, I'd say it's going to be equal, if not more,
Yeah.
and you deserve the support.
Thank you.
I had a question on the, I'm sorry, I've forgotten what the term is, what the casework that continues.
Oh, self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficient, thank you.
Yes.
How long does that go on for eternity
It
or?
does.
Okay.
Well, it can,
Yeah,
and that's not
yeah.
our goal.
Right.
We do use a self-sufficiency matrix to sort of look at all areas of well-being, and then we want to see those things increase. And so survivors and families help us sort of rate where they are now. And we do see, obviously, like with COVID, we see that it ebb and flow, right?
Absolutely.
So we want to stay with folks even when they're high, because we want to make sure that they call us and that we're there when it does dip, like all of our lives to some extent, right? And that they know and that they are well versed. So it can go on. We do see our case numbers are usually, we see about 12 to 18 months of support, but I will tell you, some of that depends on sort of the trauma, right? And also how many people, so when children are involved and youth are involved in the family as well, we know that our services need to increase. And so we do have children and youth advocates that work with them long-term as well. And so it just depends on where the support for the family goes.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Okay, now I'd like to invite Georgia Basil from SALA. That is Senior Adults Legal Assistance.
Good evening, Georgia Basile. I'm the Directing Attorney of Senior Adults Legal Assistance, as SALA. We're a nonprofit law office. We provide free legal services to Campbell residents 60 or older. We target clients that are very low income or at risk of abuse or loss of independence. Last year, 84% of the Campbell residents we served were very low income. 37% were 75 or older, and almost 50% had a disability, making them highly vulnerable. The funding that we receive from you helps us to support our expanded availability here for Campbell residents, and we thank you so much. We've been funded for many years, and we appreciate that. All of our funding from Campbell is used only to serve Campbell residents. During COVID, we provided our services remotely and primarily by phone. That was a challenge for us because for years we were providing services on site at Campbell Adult Center. I'm really happy to report, though, as of January, we were able to reinstate our services at the Adult Center with appointments in person. And this makes it much more convenient for Campbell residents to be able to see us locally and to be served in person. That said, we continue to see clients countywide as well as in Campbell that are not comfortable going to congregate sites such as senior centers for services, including ours. So we continue to serve clients by phone that can't leave their homes, or clients with emergencies that can't wait a month or so to see us, such as elder abuse issues. Excuse me. Our legal services address a range of matters that impact our clients' daily lives. For example, we assist clients with legal problems related to the public benefits they rely on to meet their daily needs: Social Security, SSI, Medicare, and Medi-Cal. We do not help them fill out the applications. We're talking about actual legal issues, helping them navigate through the system when they have problems and representing them directly at appeals or at hearings. We assist clients that are worried worried about eviction, clients that need reasonable accommodations in their in their housing because they have a disability, or clients whose housing is otherwise in jeopardy. We help clients that need to do basic planning for aging in place through powers of attorney or advanced healthcare directives, where they can appoint someone to step in and make decisions for them when they can't. And regrettably, we continue to see clients that are victims of elder abuse, physical and financial, usually by someone living in their homes or someone they know, such as adult children, grandchildren, caregivers, tenants, and even people that they rent rooms out in their homes to. We were asked to share a story about our services so you could get a better idea of what we do as attorneys. I wanted to state, though, that as attorneys, we are caretakers of our clients' confidentiality and trust. So to preserve their privacy and dignity, I really cannot share a story about a Campbell client. I don't think a client would want to see their story at a public hearing publicized. It might, how do I say this, impede their trust and ability to come in and share personal things with us. So what I will share with you is a composite of some cases that we've had from several cities that represent a situation we see often. And that is a client who's a victim of elder abuse and a client who's facing eviction because of that. So this is a story about Mrs. C, who's an 80-year-old widow who has a physical disability and relies upon a walker. She lives alone in an apartment in a low-income housing project for seniors. Unfortunately, she has a daughter who's mentally ill and is not taking her medications. And this was causing problems in her life when her daughter visited her at the apartment. Unfortunately, the daughter was also physically abusive towards Mrs. C. On one occasion, she pushed her, and Mrs. C was injured when she fell down. The daughter, on another occasion, also slapped her across the face when she was very angry. The daughter was also verbally abusive to Mrs. C, going on angry, screaming rants and saying disturbing things to her. And several times our client actually locked herself in her bedroom, which is not uncommon with a lot of our clients that are facing abuse, because they need to escape their abusers, but they can't leave their homes. The daughter's erratic behavior also extended to other tenants, senior tenants in the housing complex. She was yelling incoherent things at them and frightening them. The situation got so bad that the police had been called on several occasions, and the management at the complex actually told Mrs. C that they would have to evict her if she could not keep the daughter away. So fearing not only for her health and safety, but also because she was afraid she'd get evicted, she did call us. She met with a SALA attorney, and as we always do, we advise our clients about their rights and options. The attorney suggested pursuing a restraining order because of what was at stake. And because Mrs. C, this was during COVID, due to her advanced age, was vulnerable to COVID, the attorney also recommended a domestic violence and not an elder abuse restraining order, because those restraining orders are handled by virtual appearances and not in-person appearances at the court. So before we can move ahead, our clients always have to authorize us to do what we recommend. We can't do anything that they don't want, but she did authorize us to file for a domestic violence restraining order, a temporary restraining order. That's actually the first step in the process, which was granted. And the daughter was ordered to stay away from our client and from the housing project until the subsequent hearing on the restraining order in the virtual court. And well, it's great to do virtual appearances. It's very convenient for our clients, but like many of our very elderly clients, they don't have access to the internet or digital devices. So we actually set up a laptop in our conference room at our office with an attorney sitting with the client to help her or him navigate the system. And the client is actually able to virtually appear in the family court during the hearing. Our attorney is in another office because the judge doesn't want the attorney and the client in the same room. I guess it's an internet thing with feedback or whatever. So our attorney also appeared virtually at the hearing with Mrs. C, and we were able to get a 5-year domestic violence restraining order to keep her daughter away. So the long and the short of it is that things are much more peaceful for everybody now, including the tenants at the complex. Everybody's sense of safety and quiet enjoyment has been restored, and best of all, the management is happy. So hopefully our client won't be hearing more about evictions. So in closing, I'd like to state that we can't charge fees for our services. We are funded by the Older Americans Act. So we can't even take fee generating cases. So our work doesn't even generate income for us. The only way we support our services are through grants such as yours. And because of that, your funding really helps us provide the highest level of service possible. We are so very grateful for everything we get from Campbell. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to invite Kathy Ramos from St. Lucie, St. Vincent de Paul.
I had to be up here. First, I'm Kathy Ramos. I'm a volunteer at St. Lucie, St. Vincent de Paul. We're all volunteers who work there. I want to share with you what we do, give you a couple of examples of clients that we have helped, and then just do a wrap up. As I mentioned, we're all volunteers. We operate out of a room at St. Lucie Parish site on Winchester. Our scope is different since COVID, with continued emphasis now on homelessness. We still do have a food pantry, which is open on Tuesdays. We provide grocery store vouchers to people with homes, and we provide fast food cards to homeless people. And we also give them food, toiletries, and socks. We haven't had we used to be open 5 days a week. Now we're open one day. On Fridays, the Catholic Charities and Second Harvest group actually hand out food at that site. They have about 700 people now a week that come through. And I learned that last week there were 175 people. Of those 700, 175 were people who walked through. So that means they are definitely Campbell residents. We do not support that, except we have volunteers that work at both of those. But we do anticipate that project will not go on much longer because there's shortage of volunteers and funding. So we do anticipate that we will be opening up our pantry more days a week and have that need. So that's the food side. On the rent side, we handle that over the phone now. By email. Our bookkeeping does track the Campbell grant separately, so it ensures that only Campbell residents are getting the money from the Campbell grant. And on to the rents. This is Irma Balson. She does all of our interviewing and research for our clients who are asking for rent. She speaks Spanish fluently, which is a big help. We have had an increase of people asking for help with rent. You know, the eviction moratoriums expired last year. And I went back and looked since our fiscal year began on October 1st, we've paid out $14,000 to landlords of 12 Campbell residents. And $9,000 of that came from the Campbell grant. The remainder from other conferences. We're considered a conference, and we go to our central site, which is a council, and they will go out and ask other parishes if they'll help us. We give them a story, and then they help with payment. And typically for a Campbell resident, we will pay maybe $700 out of our funds, and we'll get $1,000 from other people. So I'm going to share a couple of examples here. The first one is Raul. He lives on Quainus Drive in Campbell. He was referred to us by Patricia, who works at the Campbell Senior Program. I don't know if you know Patricia. Raul is a 67-year-old veteran. He was homeless and living in his car for 2 years. He does work as a handyman when he can find work.
He is now applying for Social Security and looking into VA benefits. Patricia actually helped him find a place, and he was able to pay the deposit, but he couldn't pay the first month's rent. So we stepped in and we did pay the first month rent for him. He comes to our food pantry on Tuesdays and gets food, and he tells us how thrilled he is to have a place to live now. The second example I want to share with you is Nicole. She lives on Beta Court in Campbell. She's a single mother of 3 children, ages 13, 11, and 11 months. The baby Alexandria was born with a genetic disorder. She's had to have many hospitalizations, medical visits. And so Nicole had to take a leave from work to care for Alexandria. She used her savings to pay rent until December, when she couldn't pay anymore. And she came to us and asked, we helped her with $1,500 in December to pay her rent. Now she has returned to work. She has help caring for baby Alexandria, and the baby's father has also stepped forward and is helping financially now at this time. So in a recap, we continue to help with rent and food and occasionally utilities. That hasn't been a big thing, but that may ramp up again. We do help outside the Campbell boundary, mostly within our parish boundary, which goes up Winchester farther into San Jose. We've received a lot of financial help from other parishes and from the council when we go out and ask for that help. And it helps our Campbell money go a lot farther. So we appreciate all the help you've given us over the many years. Can I answer any questions?
Does St. Lucie still allow unhoused to spend the night in their cars or in the parking lot? I thought that was, is that something that?
At St. Lucy's?
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that's still, do you know?
No.
We don't have that. We did have a safe
Yeah.
parking lot there.
Mhm.
It sounds like that's not happening anymore.
Okay. Just think it's been so cold and the weather's been so
Yeah,
bad
they
for
did
the
have access to a
houses.
bathroom and some
Mhm, mhm.
snacks and things.
Okay. And for the food pantry, do you, how much of the pantry items are donated and how do you obtain all the food to stock your pantry?
We have both donations from parish people who bring food in. We were getting quite a bit of leftovers from the Second Harvest Friday handout, but they don't have many leftovers anymore. We buy food, and that's a lot of what has happened lately is we're buying the food, as well as the vouchers that we give out. We have so many people who, would like to go to the store themselves and buy what they need, especially perishables. We do not have perishables in stock.
Okay, so they're just dry goods and, okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So we do have 3 participants online waiting to speak. For the participants, I ask that you announce the agency that you are representing when I call your name. Thank you. I'd like to invite Dale Ann to speak at this time.
Good evening. I'm Dale Ann, and I'm from Catholic Charities, the Long-Term Ombudsman Program. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about the Long-Term Ombudsman Program at Catholic Charities. And thank you to the City of Campbell for your past and continued support to the Ombudsman Program. The Ombudsman is the advocate for the most at-risk citizens in your city, those who live in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. We advocate for the dignity, rights, and needs of seniors and the disabled in those facilities. This is an unduplicated service in the Santa Clara County. No other program has 24/7 access to residents in facilities. All are required by law to have our posters in their facilities. And upon admission, for them to have our numbers and email addresses. The Ombudsman Program is authorized by the Federal and State Older Americans Act to advocate for the rights of seniors and disabled residents in long-term facilities. The main function of the program is to investigate, resolve complaints made by or on behalf of residents related to issues of quality of care and abuse. The Ombudsman protect and help improve the quality of care and life for the frailest of our seniors and disabled population. Living in a long-term care facility is often not the first choice for anyone. Many seniors and disabled adults have no option but to live in a facility, and for this reason, it's very important that their rights are protected. These facilities are their homes, and many are being discharged because the facility did not like the problem family or they prefer private pay over medical reimbursements. The Ombudsman often can stop these discharges if we are notified in time, allowing the senior to stay in their home. In essence, we investigate elder abuse, train facility staff on elder abuse, resolve complaints, mediate, give referrals, and witness advanced healthcare directives. All our services are free to residents and their families and friends. We partner with other agencies such as Silicon Valley Independent Living Center, SALA, Next Door Solution, the police and the sheriff's departments, as well as Adult Protective Services and CDPH and Community Care Licensing. We serve 3 skilled nursing facilities, plus 16 residential care facilities for the elderly. We serve a total of 551 beds in the city of Campbell. The need is great, but together we can make a difference. We're grateful for the partnership and financial support from the city of Campbell. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about the long-term care ombudsman program at Catholic Charities. I want to give you one story. This past year, we were able to get some resources to purchase and donate comfort electronic pets to a few of the residents in Campbell. The program asked social services to identify residents who didn't have families to give these pets. When one resident received her cat, her electronic cat, she was so delighted and excited and comforted by the gift. She didn't want anyone else to touch it. She kept it close to her heart, and everywhere she went in the facility, you could see her with her pet. She even named the pet Sweetie Baby. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick one for you. It just shows as far as proposed clients versus actual clients for 21, 22. And then for 22, 23, you have a similar proposed client. But when you did 200 or almost 200 versus 55, that's a big change. Do you expect it to drop down that much? That's like cut by 75% as far as what you think the proposed clients will be. That's a big drop. I would, what's causing that? Or why do you anticipate that?
What's happening is that some of our facilities, I know at least a few of our RCFEs have closed, and I think that's the cause of the drop in numbers. I think this year we are doing 551. We have done 551 beds, and we've gone in and seen residents. We go all of our skilled nursing, we visit them once a month at least. And many times we have to go back because residents either need advanced healthcare directives witness, or there's a complaint, or there's an abuse case. So we'll visit more often. Also, we also do training for our staff members in your skilled and your assisted living. And we offer them the mandatory training on abuse. We do that like twice a quarter with each city. And we've done that with Campbell at least 4 times in the last 6 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Dale Ann? Thank you very much.
Okay, I was just informed that one of the participants is just listening. The next person I'd like to call to speak is Shanta McGee. And if you could announce which agency you're representing, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm here just to listen, but I'm with the Health Trust. So we have a staff person on site to speak on our behalf.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have anyone else that's waiting to speak.
Oh, there's, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your card. Okay, I'm sorry. What can you, go ahead. That's okay. Yeah, you can come up. I'm sorry. If you wouldn't mind coming up to the podium and announcing your name. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I have this big screen. Thank you.
That's okay. Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Marika Sayok. I'm with Cassie, standing for Counseling and Support Services for Youth. I actually submitted a PowerPoint, but, oh, perfect. So maybe we'll walk through it together. And so we are a brand new applicant to the city of Campbell. And so I'd like to spend 10 minutes to first introduce Cassie to all of you, and then talk about the services we do provide and what that looks like for Campbell residents. So we were created in 2009. We are a nonprofit of mostly marriage and family therapists or social workers, and we place them on site on school campuses. We've been working with many school districts in both San Mateo and Santa Clara, and this grant and this application is specific to Campbell Union High School District. And there's 8,300 students, and approximately 161 are students that we've been providing services to on a yearly basis. Our mission and our vision is to really help students receive the continuity of support they need to focus on their academic well-being, their social and emotional health, and really help them so that they can focus on what they need to do so that while they're on campus, they could really focus on the academics. Obviously, with the pandemic, things have really put into light the mental health stresses that our kids are facing. So our values are we hire, train, and mentor professional therapists. Every single therapist that is placed on campus is registered with the BBS. And so we provide all of that professional care that you would normally expect if you're going to a therapist onto a campus. None of the students ever have to be questioned about financial, insurance, and any barrier that prohibits a family from receiving care. They're on campus, they see us, and every enrolled student is available to Cassie. We partner with schools that value mental health, and we really tailor our programs for each individual school. At Campbell Union High School District, we're at every single high school, and we have been working with Campbell Union School District, which is the K-8. And actually, we're also working with private schools, and I'm trying to get a therapist so that we can work with St. Lucie students as well. And we make ourselves available regardless of the ability to pay, which is why I'm here. And in the past, we've been able to partner with school districts so that they just pay for our services. Mental health services have skyrocketed over the past couple of years. And so to really ensure that we don't burden our school partners, we have taken upon it ourselves to really fundraise and seek contributions from cities we're at. So what does that look like? So I mentioned in the PowerPoint, 8,300 students are at the schools, 161 are Campbell students that we have actually worked with. So any student can come to Cassie, they can receive on-campus therapy. They'll get a diagnosis, they'll get a treatment plan, and we'll do weekly counseling on campus. We could do individual or group. We also do psychoeducation to staff so that what is a risk, what is requiring a safety plan. We're on campus so that if there is a need, we're there. And unfortunately, that had to happen several times. We also do a lot of work with parents and community. And so a lot of things that aren't necessarily counted in that 161, the City of Campbell's youth commissioners last year, they asked us to participate during finals week. They worked with other youth commissioners to create a break so that during finals week, they held an event. And so they really asked other providers such as Cassie to really be there. How do we talk through what are some coping mechanisms? What are some deep breathing techniques they can do when they're having anxiety, panic? 2 years ago, we provided a video in your library so that during the pandemic, when we were doing telehealth, were there resources online that they could just access directly through the library. So by partnering with the city, by partnering with other agencies here, we're really trying to hope that we create this partnership with our community so that it's not just so centered on the students itself, but really looking at how do we build a community that's taking care of the youth that are currently at school and experiencing a lot of these mental health anxiety. I think I mentioned as of 2021, 2022, we counted 161. Approximately, we're consistently at 20% of CUHSD as Campbell residents. We're just counting the students. We're not counting that of those students, we're actually helping indirectly the parents that are reaching out to us. We're also indirectly helping all the people in the community that are either in the classroom or knowledgeable of that one particular student. Surveys, how do we measure our progress? We do a lot of clinical assessments. But at the end of the day, how does that student feel? How do those parents feel? And so we do constant surveys, reaching out to the parents after they've received services. And so our program impact speaks for itself. And year after year, I've provided just what are the trends we're seeing. Academic stress, anxiety, these are the triggers that we see over and over again. I think there's been numerous reports now that show that our children are struggling. The CDC just issued a report that young female students are struggling. And I think we're seeing it day in and day out and people are paying attention. And so I think that's really causing the increased skyrocketing costs that you're seeing. 90% of what you contribute goes directly to the therapist salaries. Our overhead and administration is very lean. And I'm here to answer any questions. So.
The therapists you have therapists on site, is that full-time? Like there's
Full-time.
one therapist per high school?
Correct.
Okay.
One therapist on, and that's designed so that they could do the sessions. They could be a part of the community. Many of them have been there for many years. We've been working with Campbell Union High School District since 2015. So they really are part of the staff and the students really feel comfortable reaching out to them.
And do the high schools still have other counselors at
Yes.
all? Okay.
So every single high school is working with the county to build a wellness center. And so I think that their long-term vision is to have a wellness center that they staff themselves. They are a social worker with Pacific Clinic and then a therapist that could do that direct intervention and counseling. That's the long-term goal. And obviously things change and fluctuate, but that's currently what we're working on and the vision we're all working towards. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much. Are there any other agencies, Diana? Okay, great. So I'll now ask if there are any other members of the public who wish to comment. Online, okay. If there are no further comments, I'll now close the public meeting and would like to thank the social service subgrant applicants for attending this evening's meeting. We really appreciate all of the work you all do. Wish we had $1 million to hand out. But it doesn't go unnoticed, and we know it's not a lot, but hopefully it helps. Okay, there will be a second public hearing on Thursday, April 13th at 7:30 PM, at which time the commission will determine grant funding recommendations and will take a formal vote to the amount of grant funding it will recommend to the city council. Okay, so I now invite Assistant City Manager Angelique to discuss item number 2 on the agenda for proposed fiscal year 23-24 funding.
Thank you. So as you indicated, the commission will be back here on April 13th to discuss the presentations and recommendations for funding. We wanted to share with you a side note that the city manager's office will be taking our budget to the council in June for approval. And as part of that budget, the staff is recommending an increase for these particular grants of 10,000 each fiscal year. And so what we would offer at this time to the commission is perhaps to push the April date back into July, at which point we would know the answer of whether or not we did get that additional funding as requested, which would give you all an opportunity to give out more money to the applicants. If the applicants and the commission are okay with waiting a little bit longer, we would recommend that. It would also allow us to issue one check instead of going through a double process of having to consider the difference or the increase and then go through that process again. It would just be more time saving and efficient, but it's up to the will of the commission at this point.
I would be inclined to, since we have everyone in the audience, would it be possible to ask for comment if there's any impact for that delay? If there's any, immediate impact that for you all as representatives of your agencies, because although it would be much more efficient and easier for staff if there's an immediate need, I think that I would, my recommendation would be to do it in 2 stages and reallocate additional funds should we get them. But if all of the agencies can hold off and, put it off an extra two months, or let's see, it's April, May, June, July, 3 months.
And I would just have to defer to Diana just on one point, because I think regardless of the timing, whether you vote in April or in July, there would only in practice be a 1 or 2 week difference in time, because it would be part of the next fiscal year issuance. So it's not.
So that wouldn't happen until
the timing would
later
be
in the
so
summer
close.
anyway. Okay.
Right. But we just want to be considerate of the applicants.
Absolutely. So if there's no comment or concern.
Yes, that's correct.
Would this mean that the funding would start on July 1st? Or would we not receive funding for those 2 weeks?
No, it comes with the next fiscal year, which begins July 1st, but the check would be issued a couple of weeks later.
That's why it would be difficult to have an interruption in services for a week or 2. It doesn't appear to be the intent.
Would we have an indication of what our board might be before July 1st? Or no?
I mean, if you were, yes, I mean, we could certainly reach out to the commission and the applicants immediately following our budget meeting with the council and just give a sort of an update on what how the council voted, so that when the commission returns in July, if it's still at the same amount that it is now, or if it has increased by the amount that staff requested. So there shouldn't be an issue with us at least giving an update before the July commission meeting.
Thank you.
Does that make sense for everyone? Is that okay? Great. Well, thank you for attending, and, hopefully we can squeeze a little bit more Get a little blood out of the turnip. Thank you. Yeah, that's the plan. We do, every year, at least I can speak for myself, and that every year I push back every 2 years, I should say, when we do this. So I always push back and say, can you go ask them again? Can you ask them for more? Can you ask them to not cut as much or whatever? But so we're fighting for you. Okay, so that means that we'll do the we would change the agenda for the April 13th and move that to July or June.
It would be July 13th if we're looking at the second Thursday in July. Unless we were to go, but I think our budget hearing with the council is at the end of June, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it June? Why am I thinking June 20?
So the soonest we could do it is
6th.
July, the July meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Because of funding that would be available as soon as the commission just gave their award recommendations and we were able to send that to council and receive feedback, I would then process the check requests.
We're trying to figure out ways to, July is always a little tricky, right? We have the holiday and then folks on vacation and everything, but if we know now that we're going to be doing it at the meeting on the 13th, we'll make sure we have quorum so that we can get those recommendations in and settled right away.
Yeah, so and if there's an earlier date that we're able to come to, then we'll obviously let all the applicants know, give you ample notice so that you can be present or participate virtually as well.
Okay.
Another idea is to have a special meeting.
That's what we were just saying. And
Yeah.
I just don't know what is the council date? You said in June.
June 6th and the 20th are council meetings.
So we'll have finalized budget by the 20th. So we could call a special meeting, a special meeting for this commission sometime after the 20th and before the 13th. If we do that, I don't know how much that would benefit the agencies, but we're certainly willing to try and be flexible and accommodate. And if the 13th is okay with everyone, then I think we can just leave it as is as well. Is there anyone that we know that cannot attend on July 13th? Okay, not at this point. Okay, so we'll keep it for the 13th. And if anything changes, we can let everybody know. So July 13th. Okay. So the public hearing will move then from April 13th to the second public hearing will move from April 13th to July 13th. Is that correct?
Yes, and we'll need to do a motion to move that meeting, please.
Okay.
A motion to move the meeting to July 13th.
I second it.
That's the public hearing portion, right? We'll still meet in July, in April, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to be able to take, because we have been indicating that we were going to have a public meeting on April the 13th. So I want to be sure that we publicly note that we're not going to, we'll waylay it. I'll do the roll call. Commissioner Brocker, Commissioner Coluccio,
Aye.
Commissioner Russell, Commissioner Malcolm.
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley, Vice Chair Naylor,
Aye.
and Chair Yoshikawa.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, great. So moving on the agenda, we have unfinished business. There's no unfinished business. We do have the 23-24 Civic Improvement Commission work plan that we'll be diving into next. So I invite Recording Secretary Diana Johnson to provide an overview of the 23-24 Civic Improvement Commission major work plan. Thank you all very much. Thank you for attending tonight. Nice to see you again.
So attached to the packet is the last, or it's actually the current major work plan for the Civic Improvement Commission. And what this work plan is a matrix of the different projects that the Civic Improvement Commission does in a year, or in this case, it's 18 months, and the schedule and time in which that they anticipate that these projects would be incomplete and to begin and to the end. We will have to look at these dates and change the dates as a lot of them have passed. So I'd like to turn the mic over to Chair Yoshikawa so she can go over the different projects and her experience and knowledge of, what the schedules typically look like. And then as a commission, we can then, or you can then decide what the schedule will be for this upcoming year. This information then is also provided to City Council as a Civic Improvements Commission work plan for the year.
Okay. Any questions before we get started on the work plan? Okay. So for item number 1, we've got review and approve the social service subgrants. Obviously, we talked about the timeline changing here, changing there. So the public hearing, 3/9 and 4/13 will move 3/9 and 7/13. 23 and city council action. Well, no, well, because the budget meeting would be the budget approval would be on the latest the 20th of June, but then we would have to give our recommendations on the 13th of July, then the council, correct? Then they would receive.
That's
Right,
correct. So,
okay.
so we should have a conversation offline about possibly doing this in June.
Yeah, maybe
So that we could take it to the first
Mhm.
available council
I
meeting
agree.
afterwards.
Perhaps we could do a special meeting and then have it awarded, city council action. The June, what is their first meeting after the 20th?
Looks like they're dark on July 4th. So the next meeting that they have currently scheduled is for July the 18th.
Okay, we can. If we gave the recommendation at the CIC meeting on July 13th, they could action it on the 18th, since that's the only meeting they have in July, correct?
Yes.
Because of the holiday.
You're right, but there is, we have to get our reports and anything to the city clerk's office, usually 2 weeks, isn't it 2 weeks before?
That's okay. With typically, yes, but when there's a commission hearing right before the council meeting, they let us do a report, as long as we're consistent with the Brown Act, so
Okay.
72 hours, but we could have it pretty much ready to go and then just be filling in the numbers. It should be enough time.
Okay, so target, so we probably don't need a special meeting, but obviously, if we do need one, we can talk about that
Yeah,
offline.
and we'll get, Diana and I can talk with our city manager tomorrow and get a better sense of
Okay.
what he recommends.
So it might work out that we just do the second public hearing on
The 13th.
the 13th, and then city council action the 18th, possibly. Yes, target. And if there's, obviously, city manager may have some concern with that or timing wise, so we'll just kind of adjust accordingly on the fly
Sure.
after we hear. Yeah, after you guys speak with them. Okay, so that's for the social services subgrants. Thank you for requesting the additional $10,000 as well. That it's always such a worthy, these are all worthy causes. And they really depend on, these grants. Moving on to item 2, we're looking at neighborhood association grant applications. Do we have so right now we have, where are we with this? Because we don't have them for tonight and the deadline was extended, correct?
Yeah, so I did extend the application, or we actually opened the application, I believe it was February the 24th. And we are keeping the application period open through March 31st.
Okay.
And so I did send it to all of the existing applicants and all of the other neighborhood associations that I have on record. And I've received one application or requests on information from one of the neighborhood associations, but no one else has submitted an application as of yet.
Okay, so we released the applications, then the application deadline. So the release is 2/24, application deadline 3/31. So then can we review them on the April 13th? Okay, so we'll change that date to April 13th for review. Is that,
Could we do the public hearing at the same time? Combine the two?
yes. Should we do a study session? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Maybe
need to
we'll
do
do-
a study session
So
to
that
review,
means-
receive the applications and review them. And then following that, I guess we could do a public hearing and
Just have the
invite everybody.
applicants, give them notification to be present to answer questions.
Mhm.
But you'll have the staff report in with ample time to review before the commission actually meets.
The public, we only do one public hearing with the neighborhood association grants.
Mhm.
Unlike the social services sub grants where we do 2 public hearings, correct?
Mhm.
So if we want to do a study session, we could either schedule a study session separate from our meeting dates, or we can potentially do a study session at 6:30 on April 13th. So just coming in earlier. I don't know if that works for people's schedules. It's not, it's not a ton of funding, so it's usually pretty straightforward. So I think we could do the study session immediately prior to the meeting if you are in agreement for that. We'll do the study session at 6:30 on April 13th and the public hearing at our regular CIC meeting, 7:30 on April 13th. How's
And
that?
just to confirm that that's kind of wrapping the CIC review of applications into the study session. So even though you've got 3 different activities represented there, you're sort of combining the review with the study session at 6:30. And then you have the public hearing at 7:30 on the same date. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, unless if anyone has any recommendation to review the applications outside of the study session and then have a study session and recommendation, are there any risks if we did roll them all together? Okay. I think
What's the volume like? Are we
usually
talking
like-
1, 5, 10?
probably 5 to 8, roughly.
Yeah,
would you say?
there's not very many. And it's just $2,500 total.
Total, so it's like.
So they get
500 each,
500,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, it's, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, so we can roll it all, we'll kind of consolidate.
And would we get a packet very similar to what we got for?
Yes.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I just want to confirm, we will have a study session on the 13th at 6:30.
Mhm.
Then following the study session, we will have the public hearing. And then will the commission announce the awards of the monies during that time or at a following?
There's a
meeting?
separate date, award grants on May 11th.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
That's okay.
so the second meeting then will just be a public hearing
Mhm.
in our commission. Okay, thank you.
But during the public hearing, is that when we would also have discussion around with the commission on allocating the funds in case there's no?
No, I think it would operate the same way we're doing with these, the social services subgrant. So your public hearing would be much like it was tonight. They can answer questions and do a presentation. And then your May 11th meeting would be when you discuss what you want to award each group and then make that recommendation.
Okay. And they will be invited to all three items, the study session, the public hearing, and the CIC meeting where the funding's awarded. So they may show up 3 times as well. They're like, can you guys just do this? Okay, so we'll keep that date 5/11/23 for the award, granting the awards. One note, Ann Souza had reached out and she said that she didn't receive anything. So I just want to double check. I can double check for you. Okay, I'll have her reach out to you and so that we can update any, because I think she's back on her neighborhood association board. She had to step down when she was on CIC. So now she's back on. So I'll have her reach out. I'll just ask her to reach out to you to update the contact information. Perfect. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't recall which neighborhood association. Okay. Okay, so that's it for neighborhood association grant applications. We'll get those, all these things wrapping up for the fiscal year end. Number 3, we have CIC Youth Commission, a joint meeting, which I think is a great idea. We haven't done one in a long time. We've had them like come and speak or share, but I think a joint meeting is something that would be really great and even potential for collaboration on certain projects. So if we can invite them, well, is it better or worse for the youth commission the summertime? Is that better or worse for them? I don't know either. Okay. School. June. Well, it depends. If they're private, then it's usually May. And if it's public, they're usually like second week in June, they're done. Or yeah, around there. Okay. Yeah. And maybe they won't want to meet in the summer. So if we could schedule something for summertime for a joint meeting, if not, maybe September or October. I'm not going to be here in October. Okay. Sorry. So you'll reach out, let us know what dates work for them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Number 4, we have Capture Campbell. So I did try and get a meeting together, but I was juggling. So we'll probably meet next week, I'm hoping. And we can figure out like kind of divide and conquer all of the items that need to occur to resurrect and get this going. We're basically just rolling last year into this year and just kind of extending it out, allowing, any entries in to, hey, you can keep them in and we'll honor, those as well. And then it was just a matter of kind of figuring out the timeline for when we would want to close it and judge and award the prizes and the whatnot. So we can do that offline and come back with some pretty good dates for our next CIC meeting. Any questions on that? Okay. The pilot beautification grant subcommittee. Is there anyone who has an update on that?
That program that was put on hold.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry. Yep. Do we want to? So right now we have the schedule. I didn't look at these schedule dates. I apologize. Are the schedule dates, do they need to be modified as well? Correct, the right-hand column. Okay, so, okay, thank you. So for for the Youth Commission, let's see, our work, this is through June 30th. So unless we can get them for the June. No, we could do it for, we might be able to do it in May or June. And then we can have that schedule end June of 23. Sorry, yeah, June calendar year 23. And then I can get the dates. I'll have dates for you at our next meeting for Capture Campbell. For the pilot beautification, do we want to keep that on our work plan as just like on hold, but so we'll just change the scheduled dates to on hold, but we don't want to lose sight of it in case that's something we want to revisit next fiscal year. Campbell Cares, the neighborhood refresh. I know that Commissioner Brocker was working on that, but is okay.
We can waylay the date for this for the next meeting.
Okay.
Or when he provides an update,
Perfect.
then he can include that in his discussion and then I can update the work plan.
Okay. So Commissioner Brocker will get us up to date with new dates for our next meeting in April. Explore Art. Let's see, we have Commissioner Dooley, Malcolm, and Colicchio. Anyone? I can kind of jump in because I was on the subcommittee prior. The sidewalk chalk art. We did that at Boogie on the Bayou, which is the festival downtown. I think it's Memorial Day weekend typically. It's in May. And we just got, a bunch of big boxes of chalk and let people, kids, family, just kind of on central between like where, right in front of the coffee shop and the museum, the historic museum. We just opened, that was blocked off and since it was a pedestrian zone anyway, and people just did that, we kind of just brought a table out and a sandwich board and we just put a sign up that said, it was basically Civic Improvement Commission sponsors the sidewalk art. Grab a piece of chalk and have at it. So if the subcommittee would like to try and do that again, that's coming up rather quickly. So I encourage you to meet, and I have a sandwich board that any of you can use. And Diana, I think we can pull together some minimal funding to order chalk like we did before. Do you think? Okay. 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 Okay, wonderful. Donate chalk. I'll get the sandwich board and I will be out of town Memorial Day weekend, so I won't be able to help out with that. But if you guys want, then I can get a sandwich board to you and whatnot. And then the solidarity panels, just so you're all aware, I do have those art pieces. If this subcommittee would like to try and figure out a way to display those or organize something where they could be on display, I'm happy to send you photos. They were from basically around downtown San Jose during the 2020 with all of the protests and some rioting and things that occurred after the murder of George Floyd and other numerous unarmed folks. And the storefronts were just boarded up. Downtown San Jose looked very sad. And there was a group of young students who said, this is our city. We go to San Jose State. This looks horrible. It makes us sad. So let's make them beautiful and put up pieces of art that show up for the community. And so I actually have some of those panels and they're wonderful, but that might be another project that you want to try and pursue.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the neighborhood gateway signs, if anyone's interested in any of these, I can try and forward on what ex-Commissioner Field, former Commissioner Fields, what do we call? Former ex, Commissioner Fields and Commissioner Kaufman, who had done, started some legwork for the murals and the gateway signs. So just let me know, and we can, get whatever they have into your hands. Okay, so next month, we can get dates for some of the Explore Art potential projects. Yes, okay, hopefully. Street names as needed, library, museum, senior center. How CIC can assist. So this was talking about what we can do for outreach, or is this just, does anyone remember this discussion point for? We're tied in pretty closely with the museum and the senior center with Tina and oh my gosh. Yeah, every other month they're here. So, I don't know if we need that on our work plan unless we can put together a project, which would be lovely and potentially a project. So maybe we just think about that a little bit if we want to collaborate with the museum or the senior center. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Yeah, I like that because it's easy to lose sights quickly. So I like that as needed or on hold or, okay.
Assignments, I
Mhm.
just want to be sure that I captured what the commission's direction was last month with regard to the commissioners that were assigned to the different subcommittees.
As far as I can tell, they are correct. For the three that I'm on. Does anybody else notice does it make sense? Are you on the right subcommittees? Is everybody?
That's what I was looking for.
It's at the bottom of this.
No, but I was looking for last.
Oh,
taking
last
notes
month.
on last time,
Yes,
so
I know.
already did
Mine
that.
are at home.
No, I'm just saying, did we?
That's
It
why,
looks
that's
right,
why
but-
I emailed you. Yes, that's
No,
what
I
you're
know.
like.
But I was looking, I know last time I took notes, I said, oh, check. and
Yes,
They
yes.
look right.
Okay. So everyone's on at least two subcommittees. So that's a good start because I know we moved things around to kind of even it out a little bit. So please contact Diana if you see any changes or if anything needs to be corrected on the subcommittees. Okay. All right. Do we need to, what's the deadline to turn in our work plan or is it just kind of ongoing? Okay. They were so, yeah. Mhm.
On the CIC, we should probably get back on track on meeting and getting some of these projects going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Need some stamina and refire it. Okay. So we have the work plan. So we'll move on to good of the game. Anyone have any items for good of the game? I have, well, Angelique already mentioned the Campbell Police Foundation fundraising breakfast. Again, it's Saturday, March 25th, 9 a.m. at Home Church. And I did want to add one little thing to Angelique's plug already, that they will have puppies there. So. Mhm.
For adoption?
I don't know. I think they're training. I think they're like police dog training candidates, maybe. They do have a new puppy that is the new police dog, but then I think there's going to be other puppies that are potential training candidates. So, yeah, yeah. Yep, just some puppies. So, and tickets are $25 a person. We also have, this isn't good at the game, but I did want, the Boogie on the Bayou is coming up in May, and
Easter parade is back.
that's right, and the extravaganza or the
Bunnies and bonnets.
Mhm. Yeah, so the parade is back, and I believe, is that Parks and Rec Commission that kind of, do they? Okay. Oh, DCBA maybe, yeah, or the Chamber, it might be the Chamber of Commerce. But I've heard, I also heard that they were back, the Easter egg hunt and the parade. So I think they're looking for folks to participate in the parade. So if you know anyone who has a company or a group or, a marching band or antique car, or, cool car, whatever, that would want to be in the parade, then we can figure out who they need to contact. It's been a while since that's gone on. What else is happening in the next couple of months? Taxes, well, they got extended, so that's good. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 6 months, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention, because we have a lot of moving parts with the grants and such. I don't know if it's too early to bring up or if we need to make it as agenda item, but just thinking about the summer months, we usually do cancel one of our commission meetings, so based on, folks' vacation schedules and such. So do we need to put that on the agenda, or is that something we can just, but give it some thought or kind of, think about that with,
Probably not July.
probably not. Please.
With all these.
Actually, and maybe we could, maybe Diana, you could reach out to the commissioners asking if they have any vacations planned over the summer for that reason, because if there are any, then maybe we do need to try and figure out a special date if we can't make one.
I'm going to Scotland in July.
Okay, that's okay.
So-
Okay,
Just to make things difficult.
It will, so during the 13th though.
I
so-
I can't remember off the
Okay.
top of my head when it is, but it's sometime in the middle, so probably.
Okay,
So,
maybe you leave on the 15th.
I-
I'm just kidding.
We'll see.
I'm just kidding. Just let us know.
Thanks.
And that's okay. If we get too many though that are out,
Yeah.
then we're gonna have to adjust some of our timelines. Okay, next month. Okay. Okay. Anything else? All right, I think that's it. We will adjourn this regular meeting of the Civic. Oh, shoot. I apologize. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of the work plan. Yeah, so subcommittee reports, I know we talked about that in the work plan. Is there anything additional that anyone would like to mention from the subcommittees? Okay, with that, we can adjourn this meeting. A regular meeting of the Civic Improvement Commission is now adjourned at 9:19. The next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be Thursday, April 13th at 7:30. Thank you.